What's up, guys? Today we're gonna go over 4 kettlebell mobility exercises that you could use. So first one we're gonna do is a loaded hip extension stretch with a thoracic rotation. So as with all these drills, you're just gonna need some floor space and a single kettlebell. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get into a 90-90 position on one knee. So what that means is that my front leg is pretty much bent at 90 degrees. My back leg is pretty much bent at 90 degrees. I'm gonna take the kettlebell, hold it in a bottoms up position. That means the bottom of the kettlebell is facing up. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a slight posterior tilt in my pelvis. So what that means is I'm basically pretending that I'm a dog and I'm tucking its tail in between its leg like that. What that's gonna do is it's gonna allow me to get a better stretch in my hip flexor as opposed to having an anterior tilt where I'm getting that butt wink. Because a common mistake when people are doing like a basic hip extension stretch is they actually don't get any true hip extension. They ended up just pushing their arc in their lower back and just getting a lot of rib flare. A lot of that tension goes to the lower back and they don't get a good stretch effect in the front of the hip. So when you're setting up, start with your knee directly below your hip. You're gonna tuck your pelvis in, tense up the glute. Keep that glute engaged as you do this drill. Hold the kettlebell in front of the chest. I'm gonna collapse forward, keeping that glute engaged. Once I feel a stretch in the hip, I'm gonna rotate out towards that lead knee, hold for a 2-second count, come back to the center, and then I rock back. I tense up the glute, push the hip forward, get a stretch in the hip, rotate out towards that lead leg, hold for a couple seconds, and then rock back. General rule of thumb is when you're doing a stretch, you wanna exhale as you rotate through that stretch. So anytime you're doing a mobility drill or an active stretch, whichever segment of the movement you actually feel the stretch is when you want to exhale through the stretch. If you want to take this drill up a notch, you can make it even spicier by elevating your back leg or your back foot onto a bench to get an even deeper stretch on that hip flexor and front of the quad. You could also add a mobility band by looping it around the squat rack and then facing the squat rack and having that band kind of pull that hip forward into a deeper stretch. Now this one here is a loaded adductor stretch, so you're gonna feel a really good stretch along the inner thigh muscle. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna get on your left knee, your right foot is gonna be up, your chest is pointing straight ahead, your foot is facing the opposite direction like so. I want you to pretend that while you're doing this drill, there's a wall directly in front of your body, and you're trying not to hit that wall the entire time. So you're not letting your foot travel forward, you're not letting your knee cave in, you're not letting your chest collapse forward and your butt push back. I want you to pretend that you're gliding along that wall the entire time. By doing so, you're gonna get a really good stretch in that inner thigh muscle. So what you're gonna do, grab the kettlebell. You could either have it hanging down or you could have it in a goblet position like so. Doesn't matter, both positions are great. You're gonna take a big air in, tense up that left glute, keeping that glute engaged. You're going to rock down to the side, hold the stretch for a couple seconds, and then come back. Rock to the side, hold for a couple seconds, come back in. Same thing as the previous drill. You can make this even more intense by adding a mobility band into the mix to get a deeper stretch in that end range position. Here we got a loaded Shinbox stretch. So I'm gonna get into kind of like a 90-90 position. It's not a true 90-90, so like a true 90-90, my both legs will be bent at 90 degrees. This one here, I'm gonna bend them a little bit more. If my left leg is in front, I'm gonna post up with my left hand. So my left hand is on the floor, my arm is straight, both legs are bent. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that kettlebell, hold it in like kind of like a front rack position like this with my right arm. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to bridge my hips up to the sky and punch that kettlebell up to the ceiling at the same time. As I do that, you're gonna find you're gonna get a really deep stretch in the front of that hip flexor, and you're gonna hold that position for about a 2-second count and then come back down. So I'm gonna bridge up, both my knees and my shins stay on the floor, my hips are elevated, and I'm just focusing on driving that kettlebell straight up, looking at the hand that's moving, so looking at the kettlebell as I do this drill, and keeping a good, strong shoulder position. I don't wanna like be lazy on that shoulder and collapse. I wanna pretend that I'm pushing myself away from the floor with that left arm as I do this drill. So I'm here, bridge, reach up tall, and I'm basically trying to touch the ceiling with that kettlebell and push the floor down with that left hand at the same time. This one here is called a loaded pigeon stretch. This one's pretty intense, so you're gonna feel it a lot in the side of the glute here. This one kind of couples as a mobility drill and a strength exercise for the hips, so you're not just getting more flexible, you're really getting those hips nice and strong as well. So all you're gonna need is a flat bench and a kettlebell. So to get set up, I'm going to get into kind of like a pigeon setup. So my shin is gonna be running along the bench here. And you'll notice I already get like a really deep stretch in the side of that glute on the hip that's up. Now to make it even better, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep that back leg straight so the knee is off the floor. Hold the kettlebell in front of the chest. I'm gonna drop that knee down, get a stretch, and then bridge up by pushing that shin into the bench like so. I'm getting a stretch here, and I'm reaching, I'm pushing that bench down and really strengthening the hips. Really tough, really intense exercise. It's not for the faint of heart. I would try to work your way up to this. Don't start off with this one if you're not ready. If you have any questions about any of these drills, leave them in the comments. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching.